Welcome back to the Partner Marketing Unlocked podcast, where we break down different marketing plays, different marketing strategies, and the realities of partner marketing. I'm your host, Amir Motameni, and for today's episode, I want to talk about one of the most common tools that are used in partner marketing, and that's the campaign in a box. So, on paper, these campaigns sound amazing. You give your partners this plug and play campaign with pre-built assets, pre-built messaging, and all they basically have to do is run it. It scales, it saves them time, it's consistent. But let's be real. Like, honestly, partners don't typically use campaigns in a box. They don't download them from the portal, they don't customize them and co-brand them, and they typically don't run them. And that leaves us wondering, are campaigns in a box really a secret weapon for your partners, or is it just shelfware? Do they just sit there and collect dust? So, I want to get into that this episode of how we can improve campaigns in a box and how we can actually get our partners to leverage them. So, starting off with what is a campaign in a box? A campaign in a box, like I mentioned earlier, is essentially a pre-packaged marketing program that includes all of the assets a partner needs to run a marketing campaign. And so think of this as a marketing kit, and inside some of these campaigns in a box, you can find templates for a blog post, which partners can co brand, social media copy and the graphics that they can use, an email nurture sequence, landing pages, maybe even a webinar, like a pre recorded webinar or video that they can use. And we can get more creative too. You can add different types of formatting, and all of this is to basically give your partners an opportunity to grab and run with all the assets that you provided, especially with a partner who doesn't have a full marketing team. So, a lot of times partners are limited in terms of resourcing and staff, and sometimes they don't have a marketing team that you can work with. And so, this could be a lifeline to your partner. And the biggest thing here is they're not an expert on your product, essentially. Like, hopefully they should be certified and they could sell and pitch your product, but they're not going to know your product as well as you do, obviously. So the messaging and everything that you could provide them is going to be a huge bonus. And partners love the idea of campaigns in a box. Like, when you ask a partner, do you want a campaign in a box? Like, is it valuable for you? They'll say yes. Like, yes, this is going to save me time. It gives them the content that they can alter, essentially, and they can then create content themselves on top of that, or get ideas of what they should be creating. It makes co-marketing accessible to even smaller partners or those long tail partners. So I think, again, on paper, it is a valuable tool, and partners generally do show interest in new campaigns in a box. And again, going back from the vendor perspective or the software company's perspective, it also keeps your messaging consistent. Like, your brand shows up in market the way you want it to, and that's coming through the partners. So it's a expansion um, of your marketing team essentially as well, and it's getting your message out there to new audiences, which is why, in theory, it's powerful. But again, the hard truth that nobody talks about often or likes to admit is that most partners don't actually use the campaigns in a box. They sit in your partner portal. Partners log in maybe once a quarter. And if they do even download them, they never customize them, and they never launch these campaigns in a box. And so, why is that the case? Like, the simple truth really is that partners are just extremely busy running their business. They have other partners that they're working with. They're not just selling or reselling your solution. So they don't have, again, a marketing team or the resources. So they don't always have the time to execute these campaigns. Many partners, like I said, don't have marketing teams. So even though you are providing these templates and these assets, it can still be overwhelming. And again, there's times where I've worked with partners and I didn't have access to their marketing team, or they didn't have a marketing team. So you're relying on the business development team, the partner account managers, the sales folks, or even the founder or CEO of these small consultancy firms to execute these campaigns on your behalf, and they're not really marketers. So that's also an issue for them. And so sometimes partners also just don't see the immediate value of the campaign, and so they just skip it in general. So while campaigns in a box are important, I think the execution gap is real and it's a big thing. And the real challenge isn't creating them for the partners; it's actually getting your partners to use them. So the $1 million question: how do you actually get your partners to use them? How do you make campaigns in a box actually work? Here are some things that I've done in the past to move the needle, and there's 5 different things that I would focus on. Number 1 is keeping it simple. So just simplifying the process. Don't make 15 or 20 different assets for your partner and make this like a complex, nuanced, integrated campaign. Start with like 3 assets or 4 assets. So give them the email sequence, give them some social posts, some social graphics they can use. Create the landing page. If you have the ability to create the landing page, that would be a good thing because then you actually are the one who gets to track and see if people are actually going to that landing page, if they're actually clicking around. And once they do fill out that form, you're the one who gets that lead. So you can actually see if the partner is actually using it. So um, don't make it too heavy. Don't make it too much of a burden for your partners. Otherwise, they're not even going to download the campaign. Number 2, co-launching with partners. So don't just put it in the portal and hope that they're going to actually leverage it. I think being proactive, maybe doing a webinar or a training session, showing partners how to use it, walk through examples and showing each asset, talking about timeline, talking about just how you can optimize it. Perhaps partners are more likely to use this and act if they see it in action and if you walk them through it. Third thing I would do is, depending on the campaign, you can incentivize the usage. So tie some MDF, which is a marketing development fund, to campaign adoption. So you could say, hey, if you run this campaign in this quarter, we'll co-fund some digital assets, or we could do some sort of event or whatever campaign, um, and give them an opportunity to have some skin in the game. So then they put 50% of the budget in, we give them 50%. So like let's run an integrated campaign and we will definitely help you run the campaign and fund it. So I think that's going to be huge. The other thing is making it easy to customize. So providing edible assets in tools like Canva or Google Docs, or depending on your partner portal, some partner portals allow you to take documents and add, the partner can add their logo or even change some of the messaging and add their like messaging in there as well, like the better together story, whatever it may be they want to add. So instead of locking the PDFs, lower the barrier for entry so that partners can then slap their logo on it or even make again some alterations so they could then leverage those assets and start using them. The other step I think that is important is with your top partners, you want to personalize these assets for your top partners. So instead of relying on long tail partners, pick your top 5 partners, maybe top 10 partners, depending on how many you have in your ecosystem, and sit down with them. Like these are the partners that you're typically having bi-weekly meetings with. So actually sit down with them, talk about how we could run the campaign together, talk about the messaging and how we could personalize that for them. And so scaling this out is great for your long tail partners. That doesn't need to be customizable, but for your top partners, I think the impact is going to be better if you create these campaigns essentially with them. And if you personalize it for them and walk them through it, it's going to be better at the end of the day. So partners, we have to treat them like they're our customers as well. If you don't help them drive adoption, your campaign won't matter to them. They're not going to download it. So you need to focus on launching this with your top partners first before you work on launching this with your long tail partners. So in terms of measuring success for these campaigns, the reality is you don't always get direct pipeline visibility, especially if your partner is launching these campaigns, unless you have a one-to-one relationship with them and you can talk to them and say, hey, how did that email campaign do? What was the open rate like? What was the click-through rate? What was the conversion rate? How did that social media post do? We don't have that visibility because our partners are running these campaigns, but there are ways that we can measure the success of this campaign. First, we're putting these in the partner portal. So downloads or engagement with assets. Are partners even accessing the campaign in a box? Are they downloading it? Usage, did they customize the assets? Again, with certain tools, you could track whether or not your partner is actually customizing or changing the assets. Leads generated, is your partner basically sharing that they have generated leads through this campaign? did you create the landing page like I mentioned? So you could see if you created a landing page, how many people are resonating with that messaging of the campaign, and how many leads are you getting through that landing page through a form submission. Also, identifying through your partner engagement lift, like what are those social clicks, like I mentioned, email opens, what are those engagement metrics look like? And you have to have that one-to-one relationship with your partner so they could share those details with you. So even if you don't get the exact revenue attribution, these are still leading indicators that show that the campaign is effective and is landing with the audience. And so again, this helps you connect the dots to influenced pipeline from your partner. So the key takeaway for this episode here is campaigns in a box are a must-have tool for partners. Partners love them. Partner marketers love creating them. They're scalable. They help you keep your messaging tight, and they give the partners a starting point. And partners love the idea of them, but again, they're not magic. Most partners, honestly, in my experience, don't use them. Like 70% of partners typically don't use them. So unless you're keeping it simple for them, you're enabling them, you're supporting them, you're incentivizing them for your top partners. If you're like helping them personalize that and actively trying to adopt or drive adoption, they're going to fail. So the real secret weapon with a campaign in a box is the support, the training, and co-execution when it makes sense. So ideally, it starts with focusing on the top partners and working with them one to one to help them launch the campaign. If it is successful, if they're seeing success, then you could focus on trying to enable the long tail partners to actually engage and actually download them in the partner portal. So that's all I have for this episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Partner Marketing Unlocked podcast. If you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe, share it with a partner marketer, and let me know what's been your experience with campaigns in a box. Have they worked for your partners? Are they gathering dust in your partner portal somewhere? I would love to hear back from you guys. Again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm your host, Amir Motameni, and I'll see you on the next one.